Solving the poverty problem in low-income countries like Ghana requires rapid growth in output, income, and employment. Thus, an effective way to realize such growth is raising productivity in the large agricultural sector. The agri sector has the capacity to exploit productivity-increasing technological innovations that make large net additions to national income and hence to purchasing power. Casa de Ropa, a factory under the One District, One Factory policy, is giving Ghanaians a scintilla of the agriculture on the road to industrialization idea in the country. The activities of the factory tell how agricultural growth can be accelerated, harnessing the strength and resources of the locals in an efficient technology and demand-driven value chain. Even though the factory is yet to be completed, Casa de Ropa has already started production using their mini plants. The orange flesh sweet potato is being used to produce 21 products. Bread, potato chips, potato cakes, potato biscuits, and now potato pizza. These are basically organic products that are free from refined sugar. The products derive their sweetness from the orange flesh sweet potato. The company has dams that ensure that there is production all year round. These 4 dams serve the farm through the use of technological innovations called the Central Pivot System. Their use of their machineries like planter, harvester, and others that define agric mechanization is unparalleled in the country. The University of Cape Coast has thus signed an MOU with Casa de Ropa to partner them to strengthen industry-academia relationships. Thus, students of the School of Agric could use the place as a center of excellence and research. So the students of the School of Agric at the university came for their first field trip at Casa de Ropa to learn at first hand what agric industrialization is about. CEO of Casa de Ropa, Ebenezer Obimbafo, first took them on a virtual tour of the farm and other installations in the farm that has made agriculture attractive.
If we were to eat our own pizza produced by our own self, then the issue of unemployment is not something we should think about it. We shouldn't. All of you should be able to gain employment the very day you leave the university. Because you can set up your own joint and do your own pizza. Somebody will go into general agric, somebody will do the box. If you look at this product, they are already embedded in it 10 different companies or entities that can produce. Somebody will produce the potato, somebody will do the vegetable, somebody will do the oil, one person will do the poultry. It's integrated.
The virtual tour was followed with an actual tour of the farm, the dams, the machineries, and other things that give meaning to agric industrialization.
This is an opportunity for the young graduate to learn hard, to work, and also to socialize with others in order for them to understand that it's not only your degree paper that you have, but at the end of the day, a little bit of practical experience. We saw how they were excited when our farmers were teaching them how to plant the sweet potato. And some of them were telling that this is my first time I plant, and they got excited. And I was amazed how, even though some of them in the final year, they haven't even seen sweet potato before, they haven't even planted, but of course it's good. This is an opportunity, and we hope to continue. We have agreed in principle with the lecturers that brought them that in 2 weeks we'll pay them a courtesy call. We'll try and break the numbers down so that they can come with smaller numbers, maybe between 10 and 20, where we can accommodate them here. And then they will work a full day, and then they will begin to understand this, because it's a crash visit we're able to do in 3-4 hours. But of course, when they come in a smaller number, on a weekend basis, on a day where they are working day, I'm sure they will have much more experience to carry home. We are training a lot more people in terms of graduates, but we don't guarantee them job because the space is limited. Now, what Casa Ropa has done now is to enter into a form of collaboration with the Crop Research Institute in Kumasi. They are the scientists who prepare our vines from the lab, from the tissue culture lab to our field through the string house. Recently, we also entered into a collaboration with the University of Cape Coast. We are partnering to do what we call a Center for Excellence for Higher Learning. And Casa Ropa has been chosen. We are awaiting the response from the companies or entities that will send the proposal to. But even beyond that particular proposal, we are working with this university, especially the School of Agric, in order for us to be able to bring the student on the field. I just asked what happened today. So to give them that practical experience, that feeling that agriculture is not only producing raw material, but of course the end result. Because from sweet potato as a raw material, ending up in the pizza at the other hand, they were amazed. And that is where we want to tell all the tertiary and the other universities that they can come on board. Our doors are open. Every institution that does agric, science, technology, we are not limiting the collaboration to agric, because in terms of packaging, we can work with, for example, the University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, for example, because they know they do packaging, they do arts. So we should be able to improve that. And it's not only limited to Casa Ropa. We have other related companies that can also collaborate. Fortunately for us, there's available land for expansion. We are at the moment developing a 751 acre, and then we have acquired additional 2,000 in the same vicinity. And then we have the water resources. So in terms of expansion, we can replicate Casa Ropa in every region. I want to repeat, every region can have its own Casa Ropa in the form of a joint venture, in the form of a collaboration. We individuals cannot set up Casa Ropa in all the 16 regions as we have now. But of course, we can also work with other private sector and government institutions.
The students of the School of Agric at the University of Cape Coast were overly impressed with what they saw.
Impressed with what I've seen. It seems they are trying to establish a value chain on the farm, as in from producing the crops to actually it's going through the processing facilities on the farm, and I'm very impressed with that.
With what I've seen here gives Ghana hope that in some years to come, Ghana will not depend on another country to import food before we can eat. With what I've seen here, I'm really impressed. In fact, with what I've seen here, it's beyond my imagination. And seeing the kind of motivation people are using behind to putting in place to make sure that the work is done, in fact, it's really impressive. And I would advise my colleagues out there that they should also come here and learn a lot of things which we have come here to see today. Especially the water sprinkler machine there. Today's my first time of seeing it. Though I've seen it on the computer during one of our presentations in Farm Power. I've seen it on the machine, but I've not seen it physically. So seeing it here today gives me the hope that Ghana too, we are capable of doing our own thing if the power is there, or if the will is there, we'll be able to do something on our own. Imagine looking at around. This place doesn't look like a place where there can be water. But look at how they created, and like the man said, wherever you see hills, there is water there. How did the water come? When it rains, it flows from what? From the hill down. So that gives him the opportunity to create his own dam to water the plants, which is very good. I've never seen the dam before, but going there to see the dam myself, I'm also impressed at that aspect as well.
The harvester, what they used in harvesting the potatoes, I think that's the first time I've ever seen it. And then the dam, yes, that's also the first time. I didn't know how it was working until he told us if you find a hill, you can create a dam of your own. So apart from that, I have encountered the production of orange flesh potato, like with cassava making gari. I've experienced that before, and then the bread. I've heard, but I haven't really practiced that. But these are the two things I have knowledge of. I think Ghana has a great future in terms of agric. You don't need an agric background to go into agriculture. We have resources that we can use in producing our own crops to feed ourselves. So I would tell anybody out there who is probably thinking of going into agriculture that he or she has a chance, and you don't really need much. You can just find yourself people to form groups with, and then go into agriculture. Before we came here, we had plans of our own. So like hearing him talk has motivated us more into establishing a business of our own. We want to go into agriculture and probably later on go into processing.
I expected a lot and I've seen a lot. I must say it has met my expectations. It's a lot of investment here. Very big acres of land. I must say, a lot of facilities, a lot of machines, 2 dams. I think it's very big investment. More than 2 dams. Okay, it's very big investment, and the land very commendable and very suitable for agriculture purpose. It motivates me a lot. For example, using sweet potato for more than 21 food, it's impressive. And myself, I wish to work here. That's if I get the chance. I hope to work here one day, probably do my national service here. I hope for the best, and I pray we get investors who will invest in this place and know, who would. We need Ghana to develop.
The lecturers that brought the students gave the impressions of what they have seen and urged government to inject a lot of capital in the agric sector to change the narrative about agric in Ghana.
If there is another word beyond impressing, then this is what that's the word I'm going to use. But I'm short of words. We've learned a lot from planting to processing to value addition. Nothing is waste here in the sweet potato value chain. So we've learned a lot. And we thank the School of Agric for sponsoring the student here. And the students are also very appreciative because they've learned a lot. Yeah.
You are a well-traveled man. The agric you have seen in other countries, is it a replica of what you have seen outside the country?
Yes. For instance, let me use a typical example from Israel, where I visited. We saw a carrot farm. So when I got here, it's similar to what we saw in Israel. They have almost everything. They have their own dam, they have their own irrigation system, they have their own processing, value addition. So nothing goes out of this factory raw. They grow their own and then they export by packaging. But here I even realized they even sell locally, and it's going to help a lot. And the trademark for this is they use a company to sponsor some of the less privileged people in society, which is also another plus to the company. So comparing what I saw in Israel, that is a carrot farm, is similar to what we have here. So we've seen a dam, we've seen the soil, we've seen irrigation, we've seen drip, we've seen sprinkler, we've seen the nursery, we've seen the processing. So it's a combination. So when you come here, you are not leaving one sector out. It's the whole chain, which is very plus to Casa de Ropa. So you could see that the machines are working. I think very soon here will be a model for a lot to come and learn from, because they are using machines, they are using, a combination of all the machines, which is helping. So comparing the outside world, that is Europe, where they do a lot of this mechanization, they are repeating the same thing here. That tells us that we can do similar in Ghana, and it will be a blessing, because our soil is already having advantage over the European soils, if I may say that. And then the weather pattern as well, we can grow the whole year. Europe, they have winter, summer. Here with the dam, I think they can do 24/7 cultivation. And since there is already market for their produce, it's a good example for the entire Ghanaians to enter into such a venture. If every region has a similar thing that we've seen here, I think it will be a very good. And again, marrying this industry with academia is also a plus, which I think it will go a long way. We are not supposed to point accusing fingers and blame the company blame academia, but marrying these two is going to go far. One student was saying, now we know agric, we will move from the office to the farm. That's where the real work is. So the students are appreciating the real things we teach them. The agric is not in the office, it's outside. And of course, we've seen the manager. He is not an agriculturist, but he has the motivation. So most of the students are motivated now that their destiny or making it in life is not a shortcut. It's in their own self, and it starts from their mind.
I'm very impressed because basically you don't find these things in our typical situation here in Ghana. So I think that the company is doing very well, and we have to encourage them and motivate them. Sure, because when you go elsewhere, all along we have been into our cocoa, but what are we getting from it? So it's time we add value to whatever product that we are doing, so that at the end of the day, we can reach the heights that we want to reach. Normally, we want our students to have a hand-on experience in whatever we are doing in school. So we teach them courses like irrigation and drainage. They don't have the practical feel of it. So we are here today. We didn't even know they were using such modernized systems over here. So they have been able to see what Casa, Ropa is doing over here. And they have, when we went around and saw the center pivot moving, they were highly excited how it was automated. They are using some sensors which is controlling it, and they were very impressed. We went to see the dam, we have visited the nursery, and in fact they are doing very well. In fact, they are within the chain of production. They get to the last stage of production. And I think that they should be encouraged and motivated by government to work very hard.
So I'm quite impressed and I'm fascinated. Seriously, for me, it's typically like being in a typical farm outside. I mean, the land size and the mechanization, the irrigation, which means that there could be production all year round. It's very amazing. To see this in Ghana, I'm so overwhelmed. It's very important for them to come and witness this, because then they get to the understanding that there are possibilities in Ghana. And you don't have to think of white-collar jobs. All you need is to have ideas and to think of partnerships and how to raise resources so that you can have your own employment and employ others. You can imagine the number of workers they have around. I mean, they are helping to reduce the level of unemployment in Ghana. And the students, what they have learned, I believe, is that they're not going to add up to the youth graduate unemployment in Ghana, but they've taken lessons from this as to how they could start up their own businesses, how can they could start for funding and network themselves so that they can be on their own and reduce the pressure on government. Going by the traditional way of agriculture in Ghana, in this country, is not attractive. And that's the main reason why many youth are shying away from agriculture. But seeing this, you can see the enthusiasm from the part of the student. That means that if you're able to mechanize agriculture, have large land sizes, have irrigation, have tractors and other machinery, and also building the value chain concept where you not only produce, but you produce and process, then of course the youth will be motivated to go into agriculture. So I advise government to invest more into mechanizing agriculture production in this country, and that's of course bringing in technology so that the youth will be motivated more to go into it.
Chief Programs Officer of the company, Joseph Ochre, spoke about the engagement with the students.
They are learning agric, reading from books, theories, and what agric is all about. But since they came, the expressions on their faces and what they have seen is so motivating. They are seeing what they are reading in books being practically executed on the ground, and it's also motivating us. The fact that we are giving them hope that what they are reading in books can be is doable and can be practicalized. It's so exciting, and we are hoping that in few years a number of these students, from what they are seeing, will come up with their own business ideas, either in potato or something else, pick this inspiration up and then do something for themselves and make impact in our society. But part of our vision is to set up an excellency center and a research center here, where lecturers and students can come and learn from us, and we also learn from them. We want a place where we can have a deep interaction with academia, with students and with professionals that have well-meaning thoughts for the country. So we are really excited about some of these comments from the students. Not just the government, the institutions themselves, the higher learning institutions. We can come into or enter into collaborations, be attached to some of the faculties, visit some of these places as visiting lecturers. They also bring students here and then practically look at what we're doing on the ground. But come to the Casa Entrepreneurship program we have been talking about. The whole concept is to try and create jobs for the youth. You know, not just the youth, but the educated youth. Students that have been through tertiary institutions. The concept is to try and bring together few of them. They form their own company. We share experiences with them. Either they go into the farming, they go into processing or marketing, or they go into even advocacy. And by so doing, they would have created something for themselves and also employ other people.
Chief Technical and Technology Officer of the company, Anthony Dawson-Amwa, has also been speaking about the future of agric in Ghana and how Ghana should position itself to become relevant on the world market.
Well, it's amazing, and it's also interesting to have young people who are also exciting and eager to learn. For them, this is an eye-opener because most of what they've seen here has practically not been evidence to them in their studies. And one of the key things is the central pivot, which people are seeing for the first time. The fact that it's self-propelled, controlled hydraulically, and can cover the sort of acreage that we talked about. So I think it's been exciting. They want to come back for follow-up visits, and some are even starting to apply for their jobs after school. But what we want to do is give hope to the youth that agric is a way of life. And for most rich people in the world, when you really look at it, most of them are into productive sector. So I think it's a good start with them, and we are very much enthused about the level of happiness they have expressed. And some even are coming from OT region and have said there's nothing there. And what they want to do is try and invite us over to sort of support them in expanding this sort of opportunity in their region. So I think it's quite exciting, and we will look to follow up with the university and follow up with the individuals and possibly carry this to the next level so that for this country we can have a crop of new agriculturists who will break the barriers of the usual peasant farming and look to commercial agric to enhance opportunities for more people in this country. Saying most countries developed on the basis of an agrarian economy, then to industrialization, because if you produce more, then you find methods to preserve, then you find methods to change the form into other commodities. And we all know that the US, Britain, Europe is basically based on that. So I think that agric has a bigger future, especially for us looking at the youthful population that we have. Which other industry can employ people of that magnitude? So I look forward to the government, and one of the major deficits we have is land development. And so I look forward to the government focusing on land development, the dam creations, and so it helps to build the infrastructure. Then we can plug in. Investors would come in if we just have the basic infrastructure in place. So I'm looking forward to more collaboration, and also for policymakers to start to approach those on the field so that together we can forge a much more viable and active policy that would end up absorbing the populations that are coming out of our educational institutions, and then practically also providing industry with the needed inputs and giving them opportunity to expand. And then we become more of a productive society to be able to generate income and reduce all these issues of exchange rate problems and create wealth.
The students from the School of Agric left the farm feeling excited and relishing their moment with the company. With the few hours they spent there, they wished the day hadn't ended.